What's up, everybody? We are back for Trivela Hour episode 12. This time I remembered, do like the episode. It really does help us out. Subscribe if you haven't already. A lot of topics today. I'm going to be joined by CS, Vedant, and Jorge. Yeah, we're just going to jump right into the Atleti match. I guess to do the pre-match stuff, which was quite interesting. Whenever this club plays, uh, seems like the pre and the post match is the part that they're really good at, tactically. Like
Yeah.
that's the only thing that they can really get down. Just to give some context for whatever reason, if you missed the match, so Atletico de Racism, their ultras group, it's like called Frente or something. They show up
Frente
and go.
Atlético.
Wait, what was that, Jorge?
Frente Atlético.
Frente Atletico. Yes.
They're the ultras. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So they show up, the ultras show up near our stadium, and above a bridge, they hang a caricature of Vini Jr. and put a legend, legend as in like their ultra group's banner across the bridge. Like I forgot exactly what it translates to or what it is in Spanish, but
It was like Madrid hates Real. I think that's what
yes,
it said.
there you go.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's associated with them, so like we all know who did this. There's no like fucking secret or detective work that really needs to go into it. Like we don't know the exact people themselves, but we know the group that was responsible.
I mean, it was
Um,
red and white. The banner was literally red and white, and
yeah.
like, yeah,
That was an interesting lead up. All types of statements and shit were tweeted before the game. Atleti were like, "We're gonna do whatever we can to help find these people," and like I was just laughing reading that. I'm like, "Sure you are, man. Like you probably know exactly who did this. You probably hired them to do it." But anyways,
Exactly.
just going into that a bit, I guess CS, I'll start with you, man. What are your general thoughts about this entire thing? It's been kind of a ongoing situation between us and Atleti and like Vini and versus all of La Liga. We can start off there and move on.
actually, something they actually released an official statement today. I think about how, like, I'll quote actually, these are disgusting and inadmissible facts that shame society. And they were pretty, I guess they're pretty quick to put something out there, but outside of their stadium. But, like, I mean, they're not even banning their own ultras. So I guess, like, words are pretty easy to put out, but they're not going to take any action to it. And I guess it's just like, I mean, I've seen a lot of the discourse around this. Maybe because I spend too much time on Twitter, but like I genuinely don't know if people are being woefully ignorant or like just not fully understanding the issue at hand here. There's like a bunch of like dumb takes from it. Probably a lot of them are actually from Barcelona fans. Yeah, go figure. It's like they're saying like one of the biggest ones was like he's like an unlikable player, whatever that means. Like quote unquote
Hmm.
unlikable player, right?
Hmm.
It's very much. It's pretty easy to see like how this is basically a
Yo,
euphemism.
one sec. Sorry to cut you off. Was that person
Yeah,
rude by chance? Dr. Rude?
no.
Oh, okay, okay. Just fucking around. Continue. Sorry.
Okay, okay. Anyways, it's pretty euphemistic
Uh,
for a non-white attitude, or like basically anything I don't like. Basically, like any sort of player is just being out of hand. You need to play the game the right way. That sounds like something like Jamie Carragher would say on whatever show he does. I watch those. And he's like, oh, basically, it's like supposed to be a white man's sport. That's what they're saying, right? It's like flopping and complaining, like especially from what I've seen, at least, and I think many people would agree with me as well. It's like it's excessively criticized for any black player, just like and like especially for people who watch basketball and football and like American NFL, right? Like flopping um, or like complain to refs or like any of these non-sportsman like quote unquote activities is excessively criticized for any black player. And like even if I like give to this idea that like we should all play the game in the same way, which I probably don't, it's like it's still not a valid excuse for like any racial abuse directed at him. Like I just I guess this is the point like people don't get. It's just like whatever you think they should be like Vinicius should be playing doesn't mean like any racial abuse to him is justified, really. And also, like one more point I saw was comparing him to Dembele, and about how he doesn't get as much flack for his actions because he's actually playing the game the right way, right? Quote unquote, the right way. But this, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm getting like major, like, I got a black friend, like that, like people pulling out that
Mm,
card in political arguments, right? You see, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder
So
where you
yeah,
saw that
I see
argument.
that.
Like I think that's something that a lot of people on our server would say. So yeah, we're off to a great start on this podcast. A lot of people getting called out.
no,
I fucking love it. So,
Hey,
just to add
I'm just
more.
gonna,
No, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say I saw it on Twitter, but hey, I
nah,
don't hang
dude.
out
I
there a
mean, you saw
lot,
it on
but
Twitter, but when I was on that fucking server, like some motherfuckers used to say that shit too, but they didn't
hey,
say like directly.
I'm not
Like
ruling
they
that out.
said it with different words, so it's the
Right,
same
right,
shit.
right. But like same shit, like different words, same racism.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
uh I'll turn this to, the one person on this show right now that actually can speak Spanish. So like what have you seen on the Twitter space that's like Spanish? I don't know if you follow any people from Spain, but like I wanted to just get your thoughts, Jorge, on like how people from Spain handle this type of shit. Because from an outside perspective, like I'm not as tuned in because I can't understand the language, but like
Yeah.
how do they find this racism? Like, or do they even give a fuck? Like, what is your perception of that?
Okay. Okay, it's gonna take a while because I'm gonna like say my background. In like 2013, I was like one of the two. We were like two people managing a Real Madrid Castilla account. Like, was not an official one, a fan one, but players follow it and journalists follow it. So I talked with a few players and talked with a few journalists. So I made a lot of friends on like the Spanish side of Real Madrid Twitter for to this day, and like some of the big Spanish Real Madrid like Twitter dudes. I follow them, some follow me. So I'm pretty into all this shit. Like I talk with them a lot. So I'm more in Spanish Twitter than English Twitter. So I follow this shit close. So okay, for starters, dude, Spanish people, some of them are hella racist. Even Real Madrid fans, some are hella racist. So I mean, there are few people that follow that aren't racist, but I mean, even the racist ones are like, dude, this is way too much for us. Like, these motherfuckers are way out of line. I mean, it's well known that Atleti Ultras, they killed the dude like, I don't know, like 20 years ago, and they killed another dude like, let me Google it. They killed a Real Sociedad fan called Aitor Zabaleta like 30, 20 years ago.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
What the
And
fuck?
they killed another fan that was from Deportivo La Coruña or some shit like that. Then they throw him on the river and he drowned and he died. And it was the same Atleti fans. So, dude, I mean, obviously the Atleti management knows who these motherfuckers are, but they are scared of them and they want to shit because they control the fans, they control the environment of the stadium, and it's pretty much their fucking identity that, oh yeah, we suck at football, but our fans love us. And you don't have that, so they aren't gonna do anything. But dude, it's fucking bullshit. Like it, Spain, a lot of people in Spain are racist as fuck. So it's not a one. I mean, yeah, Atleti fans are hella racist, and the Frente Atletico is hella racist. But some Real Madrid fans as well, as you can see on Real Madrid Discord server, are racist as shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a Twitter page about how many days it has been since Real Madrid signed a white player, so you can tell.
Yeah, True.
Gee,
True.
man,
Yeah.
what the fuck, man?
True.
I love how that's their fucking criteria. Like, even earlier in the season, bro, like the first red flags that I saw, was that people were like, when Vinny was struggling, right? Like, and by the way, statistically speaking, this guy, like, we can pull up the stats if you want, but like, he's basically top five in any metric that you want to measure for a winger in La Liga. Like, and most of them, he's like top two or three. So this guy's having an outstanding season. It's not like he's just like fucking Marco Asensio now, right? Like, he's still really good, but um, people, he's not hitting the same peak as he hit last season. Like, I think we can all agree on that. To a certain extent, that's not even his fault because of how shit the team has been in at the attacking phase. But I digress. Anyways, when he was first starting to show that, like, yeah, it's not the same level of goals and assists as last year, the first thing people turned to was that, like, dude, he's such a fucking diver, man. Like, holy shit. Like, what he needs to fucking get his act together, his attitude, he's antagonizing other people and like whatever. And I'm like, we've we've gone through this with multiple generations of players, right? Like, we just saw Sergio Ramos, who was way more animated than Vinicius, and he got like no shit from the fan base. You know, I think both guys are very hardworking. Both guys are similar in that, like, they kind of do provoke to a certain extent and like whatnot, but and they play that side of the game, and that's part of the game. You need people on your team to do that. But I did find it a red flag that when the racism stuff came up in the first place, a lot of our fan base was like, yeah, well, but but Vinny should do this, but Vinny shouldn't do that, and it gets into like this victim blaming thing, which I don't know if you can say is direct racism, but like it definitely shows that you have some racist tendencies. So that was one thing that stood out to me. Um,
It's
I,
very underhanded, if anything.
yeah.
Like, and like that has its own consequences. If I may, I actually had something to say about the ultras. Actually, I think one of the better things Florentino did
Yeah.
was with the ultra sir
Hmm.
um, and banning them
Yep.
because that was like a ballsy ass move, and like I think that should be celebrated more. Um, but I don't know. That's a controversial opinion in the server as well. So
Yeah, dude. But I mean, if we're gonna talk about Florentino, the the statement the club released is so whack,
Hmm.
so fucking whack. Like,
yeah, that's also
it's
true.
the least they could do, dude. I mean, let's talk it out. He's the Florentino. First of all, he's a politician and he's a smart person with personal relations, or I don't know how you call it, PR. And
Yeah, contacts.
what the statement should have said was, "We denounce the shit Vini has gone through, but this is all the fucking media's fault. It's and he should have the statement should have included names of journalists and media outlets. But this dude isn't gonna do that because they're gonna kill him, and he doesn't want that. But I'm getting kind of like tired because when they talk shit about the players or Ancelotti or Zidane, the club says shit, and when a media outlet talks shit about Florentino, we get an official statement in like a 30 seconds of the article of the fucking
Yeah,
podcast or some shit releases. So it's bullshit. I mean, yeah, Florentino, the ultras, I agree, but Florentino and like the way the club handles PR it's the I think in my opinion the main responsible of why this shit keeps happening and nothing changes.
I think that's fair. Obviously, uh, there's definitely room to improve. I guess everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to also just plug in Vedant for a second. I think, like, a huge portion of this is getting help to Vinny, right? So that he can kind of control the situation more, whatever it might be on the pitch, off the pitch. What do you think are like some things that we can do to like help improve that situation?
I think the team leaders can like take a role in this. Like they can step in. Like we have so many experienced players: Modric, Kroos, Benzema. I think they can go on and have a chat with him. Like Carlo can take a more active role. He can discuss. Like he's the manager. It's his job to like console Vinny and make him understand if he's performing like some things that are riling up the referee. Like the referees also get riled up and they give him cards. We've seen like he's got 6, 7 yellow cards I think by now, which is like an outlier for a winger probably. So yeah, and like I don't think it's his fault. Like the things that have happened in the past few months that we have discussed so far, like anybody will get riled up and anybody will start outperforming if something like that happens. But I think the club like needs to he as Ceballos said, like as Ceballos said in an interview last time a couple of days ago. Like he is the franchisee player right now for Real Madrid. Like there's no doubt about it. If Benzema is the best player, still Vinicius is like our franchisee player right now. We have to protect him by any way, and I think the club should take more proactive steps towards it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with you on all of that. So I guess we can move into the match here. I think that was a good discussion. So yeah, this starts off, and this is another game where we start off kind of shitty. Like we are not really in the best flow off the bat, and there's like just so many different things going on. There was no real flow to the match. Um, which leads me to around the 20th minute of the game. And basically, what happens there is it's funny because we had a few things planned. Um, so we had a tribute for Vinicius planned at that 20th minute around where Atleti scored. And like everyone was going to get up and start clapping and like all of this shit. But then Atletico scores due to a lapse in our defense, and it leads to the what's it called? It leads to an athletic goal, and then the entire fucking tribute goes to shit. So that was another thing about the Vinicius situation that was just fucking horrendous from that night. But I guess to get into some of the talking points here, CS, I wanted to start with you. We've been kind of rotating in between having Kroos and Modric, and then some of the new guns starting in the midfield. Um, we started Modric and Kroos again today. Like, what did you see from them? Do you think that this is probably the end of like having those two together?
I think I guess something that should be considered is like we haven't had like a true like I know Camavinga has gotten better defensively, and it's kind of shown, but like can we really say he's like a true anchor? Like we've played a system with Casemiro, where he was just playing full on destroyer, and he could like with his work rate and everything, he could actually support two guys uh two guys that are like mostly offensive focused and progression based and whatever. But like I guess Chouameni can fill some of that, but also like there's a difference between how much defensively Casemiro put in for us, especially when he was at his peak form with us, and like what Chouameni can give right now. So that is a caveat to have in mind. But I mean, I would actually say like not even just like recently, but like over like like the last couple of years, um, having Modric and Kroos playing together can hurt you in certain ways, especially as they've gotten older and have lost a step or two. Um, I think one of the better ways is to just have one or two of them one of them start with Chouameni. That could really shore up some of the flaws in their game right now as their current form. Um, I guess especially with Kamavinga, I saw a lot of good things from him. So maybe like Chouameni, Kamavinga, and then like Modric more forward, something like that could provide something that we haven't seen for the last couple of games.
Yeah, so like we've been using Kamavinga as a defensive midfielder. Like everyone knows it's not his natural position, but at least he was playing in the midfield. But last game, like for her, what did Ancelotti do after subbing off Mendy? He threw Kamavinga at left back. So now Kamavinga is playing wherever he wants, and he's still passing it. Like he had like what 90% passing accuracy. He had 14 attempted ground duels and he won 12 of them, which is like a team high. He had three tackles, two interceptions. So these are like great numbers for somebody who's playing out of position, who's playing on as a left back when he's not even a left back. I think we need to start figuring out how to integrate the young guns now. Like Kroos and Modric can still help us as rotation pieces, and even in the bigger games, like when we have to control the possession and when we have to control the tempo of the game. I still think Cruz and Modric will be useful there, but starting games especially such as this, like games where we need bodies to be thrown out, like against Atletico Madrid, where we are knowing that the game will be physical. I don't think Cruz and Modric can right now match the level of intensity, especially after playing so many games. Like Modric will drop dead if he continues playing after such a long stretch of games. So I think yeah, and yeah, Cesar is right there that yeah, not having midfielder like Chouameni having a proper defensive midfielder also hurts. So let's see when Chouameni returns what Carlo decides to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a good problem to have. I think this is a pretty deep midfield, so definitely be interesting wherever Carlo decides to go. Jorge, I wanted to get you into this a little bit. So one huge problem, and I remember like during the match, we have like a group where we just kind of text and discuss the match ourselves. Me and Jorge were just talking about how fucking poverty everything was. Like we were like, dude, this is not good. We're really struggling against the block, and it took basically like a peak Messi goal from Rodrigo to be able to get them to open up a little bit. What the fuck is going on with our attack, man? Like how concerned should we be? What do you see going on here?
Uh, Dude, uh, I just it all resumes to having the players on their on the positions that they could they can succeed. Like Rodrigo came in, he was basically playing as a second forward. We were playing more in the middle, and he scored that goal. I mean, people are gonna say, "Oh, but it was a super goal." Yeah, but it wasn't a coincidence. Like if he's not going to score that goal on the right wing, so it all it's pretty much all goes down to context. Like also, dude, yeah, the attack was okay, but as soon as we said it last podcast, we said again, as soon as Ceballos entered the game, there was something different. The game, the flow of the game was better, was more smooth. And dude, he's a dog. He gonna go after every ball. He's gonna fuck up your ACL, your MCL, your Achilles. I don't give a fuck. But he's going and he's gonna fucking stamp the foot on the ball or your foot. And I love that shit because we don't have that on the bench. We like we said it last podcast and we said it again. Like only Asensio and Ceballos, and I mean, of course, Rodrigo are all the options, and at least Ceballos and Rodrigo. And I mean, Asensio is decent right now. So, uh, to have a good attack, you're gonna have to have a decent flow with your starting lineup, and it's not happening right now. I don't know what's gonna be the solution, but at least the subs are changing things when they go in. So, at least we have that going on for us right now.
Yeah, yeah, it was interesting to see the subs. It was interesting to see the formational change, which is something I wanted to cover as well. And in that second half, so like Mondi gets injured, which might have been actually technically in the first half, but regardless, Mondi gets injured, so we're out of options. We switch Kamavinga to left back. But
Dude, that was wow.
in
Like
in
that was
reality, he I,
yeah, that was impressive.
he wasn't really like, yeah, sure, he was covering the defensive shape, and like I do think our defensive shape for like the few times Atleti had the ball in our half was a 4-3-3 of sorts, but on ball we were playing really interesting stuff. So like the way it kind of lined up in my head was that you had Rudiger, Militao, and Nacho protecting the back. Nacho would be a bit more advanced than the other two to kind of play like overlap on the right, but he wasn't truly a right back. And then Kamavinga would kind of tuck inside to help progress the ball from the left and push Vini out wide left. And like it was like a 3-5-2 of sorts or like a 3-4-3 of sorts where um, we had a lot of direct play and high pressure. Like Atleti could not touch the ball because of this formational shift. And I really do think it's something we should try because Vini and Rodrigo are so good on ball and like pretty good at running around that like when we switched to this 3-5-2, we really had like seven midfielders on the pitch, eight because of like you could even say eight because of how good Benzema is on ball too. Like he can really do a lot of like the movement of like a midfielder at least on ball and stuff like that. So I really like that formation. I don't know how sustainable it is, but like I think it's definitely something I would like to see more of, even like earlier in games, because I don't know if you need Kroos and Modric against some of these like shittier La Liga teams where you don't really need to control so much of the game. You just need your goals, and then they can try to play through you. But that was another interesting thing. We I guess also like this wouldn't be a good podcast if we didn't cover Rodrygo's goal. He really had like a all-time great goal. Just really quickly, CS like any thoughts on that, and then we can move on.
I think he was like Modric drops out of the line to receive and like he draws a defender in and he plays like a really well weighted ball. Like so it's behind Koke, who's more on a little bit on the left of Rodrigo, but then it's like right in front of Axel Witsel. So it's like just enough time for Rodrigo to cut inside with one touch and like he beats Witsel there. Um and now Koke's trailing and now he has space in front of him to run. Um he makes like another cut to get around, or a small cut to get around Hermoso. And then I think the best move obviously is that like final roll of like ball roll with the
The
bottom of his
drag was
foot.
so beautiful.
Yeah, to beat the two defenders in the box and good finish after that. I mean this automatically reminded me of the Casereño. That's the name, the goal. I think both like showed a lot of his composure in front of the goal. He split the two defenders in Casereño, but this time he just juked both. Um, also, kind of similar. That Marcelo goal in 2014 Champions League final,
Yeah.
where he also kind of dribbled inside and just slotted that one in. I don't know. Those were the two goals that it automatically reminded me of.
Yeah, it was a really nice goal. One more thing that I think it pointed out was that um, first of all, these types of goals don't happen with other teams' mistakes. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Rodrigo, but like I felt like a part of that was Atleti just looked fucking done with it, man. Like their defenders were crashing into him, like they just were done sitting in their box, and they had, I think, grown mentally tired, and that's like a downside of parking the bus is that like you have to be super disciplined with it. You can't just go crashing into tackles and slide tackles, and that's what they did. Like two, three players just come out to try to slide tackle like fucking Rodrigo, and he just little like close control right past them. So that was pretty cool. Really nice
Dude,
goal. Hmm.
that was a Ronaldo Nazario goal.
Hmm. Yeah,
That like the definition, the run, that was a Ronaldo Nazario goal. The
it
Mhm.
Trivela definition was pretty good.
it was pretty good, man. It was really nice.
I
So
think if it's like a more disciplined Atleti, like when they had like their prime versions of players, they would actually keep discipline there. But like obviously,
But
it's
Cholo
not the
is
same team
finished.
anymore. It's definitely not the
Cholo
same
is
team there.
finished.
Yeah,
yeah,
he actually meant like I think it's kind of unrelated, but like he actually mentioned in an interview or like something where like it's like he opened up the possibility of him possibly leaving the club. It's like
Lol.
when I'm done, he said that, and like, oh,
That
what's that
lol.
happening?
Yeah, that's whack.
philosophically it just doesn't work in modern football, man. Like teams are too good at holding onto the ball. Like back in 2014 you could get away with this shit. Like I think, yeah, partly player quality it's different. Like back then you had like Godin level dudes in the back which they just don't have anymore, but like today if you just sit in your box, what's gonna happen is the other team is gonna hold onto the ball and just fuck you. Like they're gonna move it around. They're gonna get you to like make all sorts of microaggression, like not microaggressions, whoops, coming out like some of the people on the server, micro like incisions and move your defensive line around until you just can't take it anymore and like it's over. So, uh,
Yeah, everyone can play some part of tiki taka now, and you can't do anything if they just tiki taka you away.
It's not
exactly.
even tiki-taka, bro. Like if you stay
Just like possession
on
ball
your
in general.
fucking box the whole game, the teams. I mean, if they were playing against fucking, I don't know, Barcelona or another team with high possessions. Like right now, the best teams in
City.
the world probably are, yeah, City, but Guardiola understood that he had to make changes, and it's not still possession. Like when they have the ball, they fucking transition pretty fast to attack, so it's unsustainable anymore. As soon as the other team gets the ball, they fucking choke you, and sooner or later your defense line is gonna break.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like both phases are connected, and like the lack of like a true like the lack of a true attacking threat on. I mean, obviously they have like Griezmann, but like they can't really generate a lot of attacking threat. Aside from that one goal, but like that was like our mistake. But like yeah, like because you can't generate attacking threat, they can just continue to like the opposition can continue to like send fullbacks forward and control the ball in the midfield, and they can't do anything about it now.
yeah.
Yeah.
They had their chances on the counter, like a few, but like even that, it's just like if you're just countering and you never can hold on to the ball, um, you're it's not really doing you too good. Like, because yeah, sure, you might even if I seriously think in that extra time, if Atleti even converts one of those goals, they still end up losing. Like, they were just sitting way too deep. They had no ability to like play a few lateral passes and kind of progress the ball so that we have to counter press. Like, they just did nothing. It's like watching like Juventus like nowadays where the or like in the preseason there was a game where Juventus just sat in their box and that's literally all they could do against us and it was just sad. But um, I guess moving on a little bit, we finally played a fucking Castilla player, and it was not the Castilla player that we had anticipated on the podcast, but Mario Martin. Who the fuck is this guy, Vedant? I've never heard of this dude before.
He plays as a six for Castilla. Like Raul uses him primarily as a six. Like he's mostly like we play probably 4-2-3-1 with a double pivot, and Mario Martin is usually the defender that most of the time stays back.
I see.
So
Yeah,
wait,
and he's
he's a center back or a center defensive mid?
CDM. Yeah, DM. He's a
Oh,
DM. Like his play style, like the way he plays, the way he moves, and everything. His play style reminds me most like when Marcos Llorente was young. When he used to play as a DM. So
oh,
his play style is similar to Llorente when he was a DM.
oh. Okay, gotcha.
What's his potential looking like? Is this just like Carlo using him to fill a purpose, or like is he actually pretty good?
He's decent. Like he's doing great for Castilla right now. Like he's indispensable to Raul. Like every game where Real Madrid have not called him, he's played the full 90. So he's just indispensable to Raul right now, and he's pretty good on the ball. Like he's press resistant. His passing range is good. For his potential, I think he can be a good squad player in the future, not like a star player for like Chomeni, Kamavinga, etc. His ceiling is not that high, but I think he can be a good squad player if they decide to use him.
I see.
Okay.
Cool. Cool. That sounds good. Yeah. I think a lot of people have been talking about like Arribas, like Vinicius Tobias, and like those types of guys. So cool. Nice to hear about his profile and like that's a name to look out for considering we do have some injuries and shit like that. I think lastly, I wanted to turn this over to Jorge a little bit. Ceballos, Militao, great performances. We've covered that a little bit, but I think we got a lot of the predictions right in general. Just like anything else you have to say about Ceballos or Militao before we move on to some talk about Real Sociedad.
No, I mean we talked about Camavinga played at CDM, which we said that it's a temporary solution. He was pretty decent there. We talked about Rodrigo not playing on the right and playing at second forward on the left, saying that he's way better than that on the right. I mean, look what he did on the game. We also said Nacho right back, also decent at right back, and yeah, that's all. I mean, we were so shit during the World Cup that finally getting something right feels hella good.
Yes. Yes, yes, it does. So yeah, props to us. Pat on our back, I guess. But moving on.
Yeah, fuck everybody.
Moving on. We are playing a much better opponent this weekend, in my opinion. And I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. So, yeah, we're playing Real Sociedad, who are coming in on pretty strong form. They lost midweek to Barcelona in the Copa del Rey, but like, honestly, for them, I don't really see that as like a huge objective for that club. Like for them, it's more about the Champions League's places. So like, I don't know. I wouldn't buy too much into that result. Outside of that, in league form, they're coming in with 5 wins and a draw. And, this is a really important match for them because they have cushioning from the fifth place team. So it's probably pretty likely that they'll place top four. But for them, winning this game could potentially mean like more of a title chase to finish out the season compared to like, just trying to get a UCL spot. So really, really important game for them. Just some more notes is that they play a 4-4-2 diamond of sorts. Like it might be 4-1-3-2, like some shape like that. So like they're a team that packs the midfield. For this game, David Silva and Mourinho, or not Mourinho, Merino are both going to be out, which are like probably their two best midfielders on paper. So I think that will be a big loss for them. And then the last part that I wanted to cover as well, just before we get into some of these topics, is expect a really strong midfield performance. Real Sociedad are a team, like if you've watched them for many years, they know how to progress the ball quickly. They can hurt us on counterattacks, so we need to keep our midfield and defense mistakes down to a minimum. And then also, I think players to watch out for are Bryce Mendes, who's been one of the best midfielders in La Liga, 7 goals and 3 assists this season. So he's just been absolutely killing it. And then also Kubo coming in at Cam. Kubo's been having a pretty good year, like not direct goal involvements, but he's been good otherwise. So he's been doing really well. So I guess to start off with, you know, considering to start off with, considering that they do play a diamond formation, CS, I'll turn this to you. What do you think about packing the midfield coming into this game?
I think it's a viable strategy. Obviously, like I think the game will be won in the midfield. Like even if they have Silva and Merino missing, like it's going to be a midfield fight. And we should be prioritizing it, whether it's like having like Benzema drop down deeper, or um, I guess like hey, maybe we play Kamavinga at left back again. I don't know. Just like we should be focusing on it, and I guess packing is going to be an approach that we should be trying.
I see, I see. Do you what I guess like to lead off of that point, the next thing that to cover for that team is they have a very very nice strike force. Sorloth has been one of the best strikers in La Liga. He's like this massive dude. He's kind of like a poor version of Holland, kind of like that type of player. So it's really funny how he's also from fucking Norway. And then Oyarzabal, who's been injured for a lot of the season, is also going to be back. So really formidable strike force. Our defense has been having problems. Vedant, I'll hand this one to you. What do you think should be done from like a tactical or like even if it's like more management side to really prevent mistakes against that strike force?
So, like, first of all, our injuries aren't helping us. Like, most of our backline is gone right now, injured. Like, crucial defensive players, Alaba is gone, Mendy is not there, Chouameni is not there. So, These are like big major holes that we have to fill right now. I think like you have suggested, packing the midfield could be a possible solution. Like we know that their main threat is through their midfield. Like they love to press and they love to move the ball forward as much as possible. So if we can break those pressing lines, we can quickly fill in the channels with our like active players like Valverde, like uh, Camavinga and Ceballos. Maybe that can help because right now, like I, whenever we see our transition defense is shit. So basically, we are always caught out on transition. Even was Atletico, like Monte was caught ball watching, and then they played a ball over the top, and we were dead. So that's what happens most of the time. Like our players are caught ball watching, and stupid mistakes happen. So to prevent that, I think like we need to put in as many active players. Like we need to improve on that front and try to become as physical as possible and try to win the first one.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. Sorloth is more of like a poacher type of striker, so he's not really like someone that you need to worry too much about, like dropping back to build up play and stuff like that. But like, yeah, you really should limit his chances in the box. He's like a pretty like one of the I would say top five strikers in the league. So like that's gonna be an interesting matchup. So some good news, and Jorge, I'll let you talk about this. Is Tchouaméni should be fit to appear in this game. We don't know exactly if he has some sort of limits thing or whatever, but given the form of the other midfielders, what is the midfield that we should be going with for this game, in your opinion?
Mm, oh shit. Uh, I tried. I tried to play our best, or maybe not our best players, but the players that are on the best form. So I'd go with probably to start Camavinga, Tchouaméni, and Modric, Fede, and Vini, Benzema. I think that's gonna have like a big work rate, so it should be good. Then Ceballos to come on the second half and start to fuck shit up and boss the midfield. So we have a little bit of more control. And I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I'm not gonna pretend that I know how Real Sociedad play or anything because I have no interest in watching poverty ass teams of La Liga other than Real Madrid.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, I'm just speaking about what I want to see, and I want to see if Tchouaméni is fit. I want to see Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Modric, or Ceballos, and Fede.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty good. Their midfield is pretty solid. But like we should have the advantage like talent to talent. So I think they're gonna adjust their style a bit for us. Like a lot of these other like topper and La Liga teams do. So just expect like like how like a Betis plays or like Sevilla like a few years ago or some shit like that.
Okay, okay.
They'll be good, but they'll sit deeper than they usually do. The only thing that I'm worried about is that they have like a lot of quality, kind of like Villarreal did to us a few games back, where
Hmm.
if you step up, if you make mistakes, they can play balls in behind that like Atleti or like some team like that can't really play. So
Okay.
we'll see what happens there. I guess last thing to really cover, we talked about lineup is some of this pressing stuff, pressing situation. CS, I'll let you talk about this one, man. What did you see from the last game? We had a really nice press. It wasn't super organized, but like it was effective. How do you think that stacks up against Sociedad?
Probably not gonna like reach the levels that we did against Atleti, because of the aforementioned quality. But like even if it's in like short stints, like not the entire game, but like a short span, um, I would actually say an effective press if we can actually try. Even if it's not organized, as long as it's like effective, it doesn't really matter, right? Um, not as much. If we can try to press, and like if we're willing to press, and like the whole team is willing to press, and not just like two people running around doing absolutely nothing afterwards. I think it's worth trying. Um, we'll need to have a lot of possible solutions considering a lot of things could go wrong with our initial plan. Yeah, that's my biggest worry, really.
Yeah, yeah. I think the main worry for me here is that like Sociedad can actually fucking make us pay for it. So I don't know if we'll see like a Marco, Rodrigo, Vini, Benzema at like the same time. Like no more of that shit. But um, we'll probably still try it. Knowing Carlo, he has tricks up his sleeve and eyebrow raising and shit. So yeah, that takes us to the end of like the Sociedad topics as well. Um, we had one question come in from like a fucking one of our deadbeat hosts, Steezy. Steezy asks, could you guys see Kamavinga deputizing the left back position in the future, considering the concerns of where he would play if we bring Bellingham into the mix? So, uh, Vedant, let you take this.
No, like I don't think so. Like his main position, I think, is an eight, and we're already playing him as a defensive midfielder, and he's done fine. But we've seen like he's also not been that good as he is when he's like facing the goal and playing as a midfielder. And now left back is like we had nothing else to do, nobody else to play, and France did it once, and it kind of worked. So now we also trying it. But I think we need proper left backs. Like there is no other way to do this. Kamavinga is not like. Did you see the Instagram posts about Kamavinga? Like Modric and Vasquez commented Lizarazu under it.
No, no, what does that mean?
Lizarazu is like the left back for '98 France World Cup team, which won the World Cup. So they were all commenting Lizarazu, Lizarazu under it.
I see. That's funny.
So yeah, but still, I don't think it's like the right way to go. We need proper left backs. Like this is not poverty club. We need to buy proper left backs.
Yeah, I think Kamavinga is like fine positionally. Like he's really gonna be really good on ball. If you drop like any midfielder into defense, like in the attacking phase, obviously they're gonna be better than the defender is.
Yeah,
But like he's played left back a little bit, and I think positionally it's just not his strong suit. First of all, it's not the best use of him in his career, and then like the other side I think for it is that we played against Atleti, man. They have one of the most dead attacks in like Europe, basically. I don't know how that would look if it was like Dembele on that flank or like some really nice winger. So yeah, we'll have to see. Interesting problem if Bellingham comes into the team. It's a good problem to have, but like maybe one of these nice players that we really love gets pushed out. That could always be a possibility. We'll have to wait and see what Carlo and Flo and whatever future manager have up their sleeve. Um,
In defense of Camavinga left back, I mean, we all saw what he did in the World Cup final. So I wouldn't say I see him in the future there, but as an emergency, like emergency break or emergency button or some shit, like he's all right. But yeah, I agree. We
I
can't.
think
We
I
don't
think
gotta be satisfied with him.
yeah. I think I'd be satisfied and like confident having him as a third option left back.
Uh huh. Yeah.
I think
sure.
that's
True.
about right.
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Agree. Agree.
Yeah, I
But
think
we
that's
can't turn
fair.
him into like Valverde, where we are using him constantly. Like we are using him on the right wing, we can't use him constantly as a left back. So that cannot be an option.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I do think that this is like a weird trend that I've seen with our club is like if you look at okay, so City is like an anomaly, and this is like the last thing I want to cover in the show, but like City's an anomaly where like they genuinely just spend so much money. But like if you look at some of the other top teams in Europe, rather than having I know Fed is super talented, he can fill in a bunch of places, but rather than having like guys fill in out of position, they will have like a cheap backup on their team, or they will call up the whoever is like the starter for their youth team to go play a fill-in game, like if need be, right? Like suppose both your left backs are out, the Castilla left back would come in, and our club, for whatever reason, just doesn't seem to have guys prepared until it's an emergency. And this is a trend that I've seen. Like, Ceballos isn't really like contributing, and then all of a sudden people are injured and he's thrown into action. And Ceballos is like maybe a bad example because like he's like been a pro for a long time, but like in general, I don't think our club is good at like that pipeline where yeah, you can just take your Castilla right back and have them play right back because the system is the same and like they've trained properly together and shit like that. It's just it seems to be like, there's just like a lot of shit up in the air. So yeah, and I don't see that changing. So that's why I think Real Madrid will always be a little weird with the positioning, especially with the reserves. Um,
Only because of the rotations haven't been good so far. The rotation of players,
yeah,
I think that has a lot to do with that as well.
true, true. Because, yeah, like one part of rotation is like obvious and that's like avoiding injuries, but the other part is like it keeps guys in rhythm and you never know when you're going to need
Hmm.
them later on. So, like right now,
Exactly.
imagine, like suppose we have a winger crisis and Hazard needs to fucking play like 2 matches or 3 matches in a
Oh
row.
no, we're fucked.
Like,
Yeah.
but like if he would have had some time in the like beginning of the year, like we would still be fucked, but less fucked. So
Yep.
it's an interesting
Agree.
dilemma. And yeah, I think that's a really weird thing about Real Madrid compared to most other clubs. Uh, but yeah, that's everything we wanted to cover. Lot of stuff we got through. So actually, I think this is the most topics we've been through, and we did it in about 51 minutes. So that's awesome. Any final thoughts, guys? Anything you guys wanted to say?
Um, I had one thing. So this is like way back in our discussion, but like that 20 minute 20th minute celebration.
Mm,
It wasn't even like it was like dead quiet, right? Like in like but like when Vinicius actually scored that last goal in the 120th minute, um, they were chanting Vinicius Jr. and like I guess like maybe we just forgot to put like remove the one in the hundredth digit of the minutes, but like also like I don't I think it's supposed this thing is about supporting Vinny as a human being and who's been subjected to something pretty horrible and we shouldn't be just supporting him to be a goal scorer and goal scorer only. I'll end up that. Actually, one more thing. We were chanting Murata is a rat louder than we were supporting Vinny. And like come on. Really?
yeah, his goal celebration was just I don't even know what to say, man. I'm so glad we sold that fucker for like 60 million or whatever the fuck it was. Like that's a
80,
blessing.
80
Yeah.
million.
80 million. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Hey,
80 million.
profits.
God damn. We got a lot
He's
for that.
football's he's
We
football's
fleeced
Ponzi scheme, man.
Chelsea.
Everybody
Yeah.
keeps shipping him around. Everybody keeps buying him. He's a Ponzi scheme.
I mean, wait,
That's
yeah,
money laundering.
he showed up in Juve's report, didn't he? I remember seeing his name in that, like along with like Ronaldo. That was pretty funny. Um,
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Juve before Atleti.
so yeah, maybe he gets a match ban. That'd be hilarious. I hope it happens, honestly.
Mm,
But
yep.
anyways, I
He's a
think
rat.
that's a show. So yeah, we again appreciate everyone for listening. Hope you have a good weekend and fuck Atletico Madrid. So yeah, thanks everyone.
And don't be racist.
Yeah, please don't, guys. Just for this week. Bye,
You
Lavini.
can be or you can't be. Don't be.
Don't be. Yeah. All right.